Teddy Gerard's going to be announcing his commitment decision a bit later this week. We're going to take a look at him right now as a football player. Just something to remember that this dude's 2027. We're going to be watching sophomore film here. Just kind of have to give him a bit more grace, a bit more elbow room to be a raw prospect. We're not going to really harp on the negatives just because of how young of a player he is. We still have 2 more years of film to really evaluate him going into the next level. And just something I want to remind y'all with this upcoming commitment. He's a 27. He won't be signing until a while. So just, get excited about him, sure, but just remember that it's college football recruiting. Anything can happen. 6'3", 190, North Cobb, Kennesaw, in Georgia. We've already took a look at him a little bit here, but the thing that stuck out with me was kind of the anticipation that he throws with already as a sophomore. Kind of has a good grip of the offense. It is a highlight tape, and a lot of these throws he kind of went through and grouped them. So we're going to see a lot of the downfield throws early, but I think for a sophomore in high school, you'll see a lot of throws that when he throws, they're not open. But by the time the receiver gets out of his break, gets downfield, it ends up being a really good throw. This first one here, this play here is crazy. A lot of high school coaches, a lot of college coaches, a lot of NFL coaches. In general, this is a big no go here, thrown across the body downfield. But does a good job, directing the traffic, and then. The kid is open, and he trusts his arm to make this throw right now. Generally, it's not a good idea, but this kind of stuff I'm saying, we'll let him just be a gamer sophomore year. If he can make the throw, he can make the throw, But this is kind of that anticipation I'm saying that he's throwing with here. This sophomore here, when he throws this slot fade here, this receiver's not open now. But this is a good job by our guy, understanding that. Based on the pre-snap read, based on the look he's shown after the snap, this kid's going to be open in the end zone. Does a good job putting it on the money where only his receiver can get it. This being a highlight tape, we're not going to see some of the bad reads. We're not going to see some of the bad progressions. But, I think being a high schooler, the fact that you see good ones is a pretty good sign, I'd say. And then you work on weeding out the bad ones. So I'm not really concerned about that. Here's another one. Great anticipation, has an understanding pre-snap. Doesn't even really have to look like this video is kind of shut. He probably already looked at his receiver at the top of the screen being in press. Has an understanding of his skill set and that he's able to get open after he's not open at 7 yards. This corner still has a beat on him, but by the time the ball gets there, he's open. Kind of that one kind of hung up on our guy a little bit, but did a good job putting it to the back shoulder. Here's another one. Not open when he throws it. Looks like this corner has a beat on it, but does a good job putting this to the back shoulder. Another area where the corner can't get to it. How do I feel about his arm strength? We don't see, these are all downfield passes, and we'll kind of get into the shorter area stuff where he starts putting some tempo on it, but I think you can kind of see him put some touch on these balls down the field. Doesn't have any issue reaching pretty far outside of the numbers. This is from where the ball is to where it ends up. It's a pretty far throw here, 40, 45 yards maybe. Here's another one. Put some touch on that one. Hits the sideline. So I think you're seeing some high level throws here for just a sophomore in high school. Now, as always, we're going to talk about the throwing motion a little bit. I think this is my favorite throw on the highlight tape. This corner here. Another, this one's pretty far. Opposite hash he's standing on and hits this corner all the way to the other number. Sophomore in high school we're watching again. Just going to keep reiterating that some of these throws here. And we'll get into some of the quicker ones as this tape goes on. Anything you guys see, feel free to let me know. I'm not a seasoned quarterback evaluator, but we're just trying to get a grasp of talent here. And what I see, and that's what I see so far. How's the arm strength? I think it's pretty good. I think I said that already. I like the arm strength. The throwing motion might have a little hitch in it. We'll see it later when he's got a clean pocket. Everything's up top, which is good. We're not seeing the ball go below the hip a whole lot. Just kind of not herky-jerky, but when you slow it down a little bit, you can kind of see it almost looks kind of strenuous. Just a little bit. I'm more worried about the feet. The feet are more of something that I'm going to be watching, and it all looks aligned to me. We're seeing a lot of these throws come off, get generated lower body wise. Here we're going to see him on the move a little bit. I think he's a good enough athlete. I don't think this is some aspect of his game that you're going to ask him to run a whole lot of read options, but I certainly think he's athletic enough to get it done. I think what I'm more concerned about quarterbacks in general, if they're not going to be top-end athletes, it's not just about the athleticism, but more the efficiency of the movement in the pocket. Like, you watch a guy like Tom Brady having an understanding of those kind of subtle movements in the pocket, where he's strong at, where he has more time. That's kind of what you look for, I think, in a quarterback that isn't going to set the world on fire on the ground. But I think he's athletic enough to get it done as a pocket manipulator, and then a guy that every now and then can kind of take off. But this is something that I do like about the highlight tape. The first half of it, we saw all the throws that were on time, the ones where the clean pocket was clean, pretty quick reads, ball out of the hands, on the money. Now we get to see some of the stuff, some of the off-platform stuff, right? How accurate he is on the run, how athletic he is. And a lot of these balls are on the money on the run, too. So some of the off-platform stuff here looks pretty good to me. I don't really love ranking high school quarterbacks or really any high school positions just based off of sophomore film, just because you see a lot of rawness to them, and this quarterback class especially. I think the top guys are pretty talented, but as quarterbacks, there's a lot to be warranted. I'll put the top 5 quarterbacks in this 2027 class up on my channel, just a compilation of highlights, and yeah, I think they're all very talented and they have a lot of things to like. I just don't think any of them are all put together yet, which is so natural for a sophomore in high school. Totally believe it. So I think this guy has a very advanced understanding of the game, for what I can tell off the highlight tape. Some of the other kids I couldn't really say the same about, but here's some more of the pocket breaking down. Does a good job not forcing the issue. Again, it's a highlight tape. We're not going to see the times where, he'd maybe try to fit the ball into a tight window and throw an interception or just bad throws. But overall, I think you see a pretty athletic quarterback, good on the run, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to think any other points I'm trying to bring up here. I think we only get 2 RPOs, and it's another thing in high school. Like, I'm not going to be... These are such an easy read, right? There's pretty much 3 reads that you have on an RPO, and I'm more concerned about how the ball is getting out, how fast it's getting out, how quick the throwing motion, the velocity on the ball. We only have 2 plays here, so I'm not going to pick that apart. Shit, this is a pretty good throw, though. Anyways, that was Teddy Gerard. I'm sorry if you don't see me kind of make a decision on a kid and kind of let you know how good I think he is. It's just the nature of watching sophomores in high school, and at this point in their recruitment, we're just gonna be highlighting what they do good, and then as he starts getting closer to signing day, we'll start making decisions on just how good we think that these kids will be. But I think you could see why a lot of major programs are taking him serious. I think he's crystal ball to go to Notre Dame. That's what it looks like. The commitment's going to be in a couple days. We have a while till he actually walks on campus, so until then, we'll just sit here with this understanding what he is. You guys let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.